Hello everybody and welcome to our webinar series. Today we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies. You've probably seen a lot about it in the news lately, freaking out because your portfolio dropped 50% over the last couple days, but oh, fret not, it will come back. It's just the nature of the beast. I guess in a deeper dive we have to figure out what are cryptocurrencies? What do they do? What's their purpose? What's their role? How do they function? It's not just about making a quick buck, as a lot of people are jumping into this cryptocurrency space. So we're going to take a step back and look at the fundamentals today of what is a cryptocurrency. How does it work? What are the functions of it? What's the utility? And how can you and I, as investors, maybe partake in this environment and hopefully make some money along the way? My name is Merlin Rothfeld. This is being presented from Online Trading Academy and OT Academy today, so we're happy to be doing this webinar for you guys. Since we're broadcasting on YouTube right now, it is live, which means you have the ability to send me questions right now as we speak, so feel free to send in questions as we progress today, and I'll do my best to get all those questions answered, certainly in our allotted time here, which is going to be probably about 45 minutes worth of session today. So let's get things started with a little bit of a disclaimer here. This is pretty important for everybody out there, so I want you all to read this one very closely. Disclaimer really says this is intended for educational information only. So if we could bring that screen up for us, Jason, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the disclaimer for everybody. This is important for you all to read because it tells you exactly what all the legal ramifications are, etc. So there we go. Thank you for bringing that one up. All right, let's move on from that. I want to start off with the definition of cryptocurrency. Why is this important? Well, let's set a foundation for exactly what we're discussing today. When we look at the definition of cryptocurrency, it says a secret writing. Oh yes, so secret and cryptic, right? The deciphering of messages and secret code. That is part of the foundation of cryptocurrency. So we'll take it one step further and we'll go forward one slide and look at the definition of currency. Now this is circulation as a medium of exchange, something such as coins or bills. It could even be something as far as like a commodity currency like paper money or gold or silver or dolphin teeth. They have all kinds of crazy cryptocurrency or currency they've used in the past. What I want to do is real quickly see if we can get some interaction here from everybody on this one. What is a currency? Well, we're typically looking at fiat currencies here, and I see things like the euro, I see the Japanese yen, the $100 bill, and we also have the pound note. So what we want to know is what's the purpose of these these currencies? I'm getting all confused today. What's the purpose of these currencies? Most of you are probably going to say, well, it buys us goods and services in our respective country. Sure, if you're in Europe, that euro is going to buy you a nice Birra Moretti, and in Italy, it's going to go buy you a nice, I don't know, something in Germany or whatever. It's basically buy you goods and services in those respective countries. But that's all it does. It serves no other purpose. There's no other utility to a dollar other than being a medium of exchange and a store of value. Same thing with the yen, same thing with the pound. That's the whole point of a fiat currency, is it's a government-dictated thing that says this is what it is worth, and you can go and buy goods and services. So we'll go one step further here, and I want to look at the definition of a cryptocurrency. So I'll ask you, how many of you think that cryptocurrencies have a definition? They don't. I said, what's the definition of cryptocurrency? There is none. According to Merriam-Webster, there is no definition for cryptocurrency, which I find kind of ironic out here. Why is there no definition? Well, because it's probably such a new asset class. There's really nothing to base it off of. So what I want to do is go one step further here and show you guys a little bit of what we're dealing with, I guess, in our current space here, which is cryptocurrencies like this. Now, when we look at cryptocurrencies, I'm thinking things like Bitcoin, right? This is the first one you guys see off the side here. That's the important part. We have Bitcoin. That is going to be your biggest one out there that most people know and understand, right? What is Bitcoin? Next one we're going to be looking at is one called Dash. Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing these up individually is because Bitcoin is really, that's the main one that started it all. We'll go through the history maybe in another session, but really Bitcoin is the big daddy, and it serves one purpose. It is a medium of exchange. It's a cash payment system. Dash is also a cash payment system, but it has many different properties to it. It's also much faster and more efficient. So while they're both digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, they have different utility. The next one here is very different. How many of you guys know this next guy with the little black and the little white dots all through it? That is a cryptocurrency, and it is called IOTA. IOTA is really used for the Internet of Things, meaning it is a cryptocurrency that is used for electronic devices to communicate with each other. And that is really important as we understand how this network or system of technology will change going forward. The more that electronic devices communicate with each other, the better. And that may be something in the future where your dishwasher starts ordering its dishwashing fluid from Amazon, and that will be paid with something called IOTA. So it's no longer just a cryptocurrency, it has an underlying utility. And that's the kind of common theme that you'll see here with these cryptocurrencies going forward. Next one you see on your screen there, that little, I don't know, three-pronged thing on the screen. I don't know what you would call that, but that is called Ripple. And you may have heard about Ripple here recently. Ripple has become very popular because it is really one of the only ones that's being used in a commercial space. It's now being used for transactional settlement, which you'll see here shortly. That is a very important component of the cryptocurrency space, but this is big bank stuff. Last one there is Ethereum. This one is unique to the rest of these because it is actually a programmable blockchain, meaning that companies can write digital contracts, smart contracts, on the Ethereum blockchain. And this makes it a great resource for companies looking to raise capital or that have a decentralized application or a program. So right away, I wanted to differentiate these between cryptocurrencies and fiat currencies because fiat serves one purpose. It's a medium of exchange. These have a medium of exchange as well as utility. And I think that's a very important part for us to understand. Next, we have the entire crypto market. This is what the whole crypto space looks like. And there's really done by market cap here. You can see Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ripple, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. There's a ton of them. There's thousands at this point. It seems like new ones popping up each and every day. So just wanted to give you a visual of what that looks like so you realize that there are a lot of different cryptocurrencies in this space. So the big question that we're going to try to cover today is what makes cryptocurrencies different? What is the fundamental structural difference here that makes these a unique item, something that we should all pay attention to? And while we don't know the fate of cryptocurrencies as a whole, we do know that right now it is one of the most popular topics on earth. 10, 15, 20 years down the road, will they still exist or will they have gone the way of the dodo? That is to be determined, but right now we do know that they are very active, there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of promise for cryptocurrencies as an asset class. So let's go and look at the main characteristic differences and why cryptocurrencies are very, very unique. Now, the old way of doing things was really what's known as a centralized marketplace. You have a centralized organization, meaning your bank has all of your account information, or your insurance company has all the information for you, your healthcare company has all the medical records for you. They're keeping a centralized database. And this illustration here kind of reflects that. You see everybody kind of connecting to the bank, and the bank is the one who is controlling that ledger. So that ledger of all the accounts, balances, transactions are within that bank. Well, that gives rise to problems, something called singular control. Singular control means that one organization controls everything. This can be extremely dangerous if it's in the wrong hands or if there are, the wrong people pulling the strings on those accounts. And it's important because there's actually a case that happened with Dole many years ago where there was 13 million extra shares randomly given out because someone was keeping bad records. That's not good. We don't want to see that happen in our market environment. The other part here is trust. We have to trust the organizations which are controlling that ledger. Now, by show of comments out there, how many of you trust your bank? How many of you trust your insurance company? How many of you trust your government for that matter? My guess is not a lot of yeses will be coming across there. It's probably going to be a bunch of no's that people don't trust it. Now, let's keep going here and show you the change. This is the change visually. You see that bank slowly disappear. Boom, it is now gone. That decentralization is what we're focusing on because that's the real strength here. When you remove that centralized figure from the equation, we now have a decentralized market. And you can see that once we remove that bank, everybody can communicate with everybody else and share information, talk about what's going on, and see the ledger for whatever asset it is that we're looking at trading. Now, here is an example of a Bitcoin address. And this is important to me because a lot of us have our bank account information, and you're probably not willing to give out your bank account information to anybody, right? You don't want to do that because it's dangerous. Well, tell you what, I have a bank account right here on my phone. I don't know if you can zoom in on that, maybe not. If you guys scan this with your Bitcoin applications, feel free to send me any money here. This is my account, or one of my accounts, and you can send whatever you want to that number. You can't touch it. You can see it, you can see my balance, you can send me something, but you can't get the money out. How would you be able to get the money out? You would need to have what's called a private key. Now, at your bank, your private key is just your signature and a picture of you, right? They just know who you are, you give them your account number, and you're in. This is so much more secure, it will blow your mind. And here's where we really get things crazy. Let's show this paper wallet here again. So you've got increased security. We've got the public address, which is on the left-hand side here, and that is where all the funds may be kept. Here is what's called your private key. That private key is great because look how long that string of characters is. That is really how you access it. So if someone's going to try to get into your bank account, they would have to have that information. Now, let me ask you guys, how many of you think that that's easy to crack? How many think it's easy to get that private key and figure out that private key? Well, unfortunately, I can't see all your comments and questions right now, so that private key becomes very, very critical. Check this out. Let's go through some simple polls for you. What are the odds of guessing somebody's PIN number, right? You got that 4-digit number. What are the odds of you guessing somebody? So I gave you my bank account number. How easy would it be for you to crack that code? Well, it's actually 1 in 10,000. And I'm willing to bet that you guys could do that in a relatively short period of time. I don't see that being a problem at all for someone to break. Well, what if we step it up a notch and say, what are the odds of picking the winning lotto number? This gets a little bit more tricky. Now, I hope that somebody in this room has actually won the lotto and picked all those numbers. Odds are, though, that if you pick the winning lotto numbers, you're probably not going to be watching this webinar right now. So the odds of picking those winning numbers for the lotto, 292 million to 1. That is a pretty lofty number out there. I don't think that anybody has gotten that. And I think we all would agree that we could probably spend our lives trying to pick those numbers and never get it, right? Well, here's one step further. How many grains of sand are on Earth? Yes, I'd hate to see the university program where they tasked all their interns to go out there and count the grains of sand, but I'm sure it's just taking a little spot, doing a sample test, and the estimates range, but it's a colossally large number. What number precisely? Well, you can see here there are a lot of zeros after that, and I'm not even going to attempt to count how many that is, but you can see it's exponentially higher than winning the lotto. Now, let me ask you this. What are the odds of you picking someone's private key? I just showed you my Bitcoin address. I just showed it to you on camera there. You're welcome to take that and send whatever you want there, analyze that account. But what are the odds of you guessing that private key and accessing my money? This is where it should blow your mind. Look how big this number is. I believe it's quintillion. So I was going to read that, but we only have a 45-minute webinar here today, and it would take me 30 minutes just to read that number out to you. So it's a colossally large number. Let's put it in perspective of exactly how large that number is. If you want to look at big, well, the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy is only 10 to the 11th power. Grains of sand on Earth is about 10 to the 20th power. Bitcoin is 10 to the 47th power. That's just barely less than the number of atoms on Earth. Just to give you an idea, good luck picking my private key. I would encourage you guys to try, go for it. So that gives you an idea of how secure this is. It's an incredibly secure system because of its scale. It's so big, that's what makes it safe. Now, there's a lot of other fundamental details we're not going to get into here. We actually will cover that in a class. But one of the main things that people like about cryptocurrencies, me in particular, is it is out of government control. I do not trust my government, and at any moment they can use their power to seize my assets or do whatever they like with my property. So main thing here is it's out of government control, and this is important because in the past we have seen situations where the government can come in and say, you know what, we're going to just devalue your currency by 50% overnight. Here it was the rupee was devalued by 36.5% overnight. You also have Britain came out and did it as well, where they devalued their currency. You've had it happen in Brazil. You've had it happen in Argentina. We saw it a couple years ago in Cyprus and in Greece, where the government wouldn't even let you access your money. Well, this is completely separate. They don't control anything here. So it's off the grid. It's off the radar. So if they want to come seize my bank account, they can do that, but they can't touch my cryptocurrency account because they don't have my private key. That's the big factor here. The other piece here is the plight of the dollar. When we have a centralized organization like the Fed, who has been devaluing our currency over and over and over for the years, they have done it slowly. Now, the examples we just looked at was looking at the devaluation of the US dollar, or of different currencies, but it was doing it in a very short period of time, meaning they kind of came out overnight and said, we're devaluing your currency. This one has been a slow bleed, and for all of us Americans out there watching this right now, I wasn't alive in 1913, but if you had a dollar, that dollar would only be worth about 7 cents today, meaning we've lost 93 to 97% are some of the estimates out there of the value that you have lost on your cryptocurrency, on your US dollar. So this is a big factor. It has been a devaluation directly from our government and our Fed from printing more and more money, and we'll throw on the printing of money here. You see this little blue line forming right now. This is the result. And we're not seeing any slowdown here. We're seeing actually more money being printed on a regular basis. So what are some of the other perks of cryptocurrencies? Number one, it prevents fraud. So for those of you out there that hear this all the time, and this is the one that just drives me nuts, we hear this all the time that says, well, Bitcoin, that's the coin for drug dealers and terrorists and illegal activity. Really? The people that tell you that, you can tell them that they don't know what they're talking about, because Bitcoin is completely tracked. Every single coin has been tracked at every step of the way, and everywhere that it goes, it is tracked. So if I'm a terrorist, I sure as heck am not going to be using Bitcoin, because at some point that money gets pulled out. Any government agency with the right resources can find out exactly where that money went. So whoever tells you it's used for terrorists and illegal activity, they don't know what they're talking about. It also prevents counterfeiting, because when you send one Bitcoin to somebody else, it's done with a checks and balances system that is done by this decentralized network. So everybody is working together to validate transactions. You can't fake a transaction. There's actually one situation where it is possible to make bogus transactions, but we'll get more into that in the course. So it really prevents counterfeiting, which is a big one, because what's the most counterfeited currency in the world? That'd be the $100 bill, yes. All right, reversing charges is another one. Now, why is this important? I have actually known some people who've done this in the past, and shame on them for doing it, but you can't blame them. They just abuse the system. Let's say that we have a gentleman here who wants to get a new camera. So they use their credit card, they go and buy this camera, so the credit card company sends money to the camera company. The camera company then sends the camera to the buyer, and the buyer says, oh yeah, I want to cancel that transaction. So they cancel the credit card gets the money back, and the merchant is out. Doesn't work that way. Once you send cryptocurrencies, once you send Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum or any of these cryptocurrencies, it is non-reversible. The only way to get that back is if the person that you sent it to sends it back to you, and that's probably not going to happen. So it eliminates some of the problems we see in businesses today, such as reversing charges. Another one is immediate settlement. This is a big one for me. It's always frustrated me. I've been involved in real estate for many, many years, and when I deposit a check or money into the bank. So let's say you deposit your money into the bank, you got some checks coming in, maybe you got some cash you want to deposit. Well, what happens? When you go to that bank and deposit it, it generally says, you put $10,000 in, oh well, $200 of that $10,000 available, $9,800 is on hold for a day, 2 days, 3 days until they can verify it. Well, why should that happen? You just check the other person's bank account where I'm depositing it from. They've got it, great, let's settle it, done, over. This doesn't happen in cryptocurrencies. Each cryptocurrency has a different, what's called block settlement time, which means that transaction times can be different from cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency, but generally, they're just a couple of minutes, some are just seconds. So it's a much faster process that doesn't have this bureaucracy or centralized intermediary holding up the transactions, slowing the process. Another piece here is that it's accessible to everyone. This is a very big piece for me, because around the world, there are people that don't have good banking systems, don't have good infrastructure. This is critical, because those people that are in that situation that don't have banking, don't have infrastructure, don't have financial systems, they can now use cryptocurrency to transact amongst each other, to send money back and forth. Now, this is not something that we have an issue with here in the US, but if we look at, let's say, countries in Africa, they actually do have major issues here with centralized banking figures and hyperinflation. They're actually using cryptocurrencies as their main currency. Next piece, fees. Oh, fees. Gotta love the fee part of this. The fees get crazy with banking institutions. And this is some facts and figures I pulled from the Fed. And what this is pointing out is really what are the different fee structures with regards to the wiring money. When you wire money from one firm to the next, you have to pay fees. You're paying $25 to wire. So let's say I want to wire you $50. Well, let's make it bigger. Let's go $1,000. If If I want to wire you $1,000, I have to send that money to you through my bank. I have to be at my bank at a certain time window. I have to fill out a whole bunch of forms, a lengthy process, and then that money will get wired to you. I have to pay $25 for that, by the way. I send you that $1,000, and then you receive it at your bank, and you have to pay to receive it. So I got $25 to send it, $25 to receive it. There's $50. Where does that go? It goes to the Fed and your bank, because the Fed is responsible for a system called SWIFT. That's ridiculous. If I want to, I should just be able to send cryptocurrencies to you without an intermediary who's bleeding me of fees. So I sent $30,000 the other day of Litecoin. How much did it cost me? $3. That seems about right. You know, a smaller fee. I'm cutting out those intermediaries. Here's a great picture of Western Union. A Western Union, if you read this print right here, it's amazing. It just says fees start at $4.99. So fees start at $4.99 up to $20 online, meaning you can send money online and you're going to be paying a ton of fees. It's ridiculous. It just drives me nuts. Let's start with where we buy them. Where do we buy these different cryptocurrencies? Well, there's a lot of different places we can buy them. It's very risky, some of these, so I'm going to rule at a high level here. Again, we go much deeper in this in the class, but I want to just talk high level here about how these fees, or how do you purchase them in a safer way. The easiest way is to use something like Coinbase. There's a couple different exchanges out there. This will be one of the most expensive ways, but it's also very easy because it simply links up to your checking account. Now, when you link up your checking account, you click a button, money just transfers right out. And you can see on this screenshot here, if I wanted to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin, I just tell it how much, I hit the buy, and there it is. And it takes about 7 days for that to show up into my account. But all in all, it's a pretty fast process. Another place that you can get them is through a Bitcoin wallet, right? A Bitcoin wallet, we'll talk about here in just a second, is simply something on your phone, your PC, or online where you can store, transfer, buy, sell those different cryptocurrencies. So you can see on the screen here, you have Bread Wallet, Airbitz, CoinSource. There's a multitude of them out there. So right here on, let's say, Bread Wallet, which is one that I have on my phone, you can see it says buy Bitcoin. Well, if you click that buy Bitcoin button, you can see here it says cash, bank account, so you can do it from one of two ways. So there's multiple ways to buy them here on your online digital devices, such as a wallet or on your PC computer. Now, next one is Bitcoin. Bitcoin ATMs. One sec here real quick. Guys, I can't see questions. For those of you who are wondering why I'm staring off into space, I can't see the Facebook feed here, YouTube feed. So could someone hook me up here? Thank you. All right, where do we buy them? Bitcoin ATMs. This becomes critical because on Bitcoin ATMs, you can buy them anywhere. And where are these Bitcoin ATMs? Here's my office. My office is right, let's go, we'll find exactly where we are. There's my office, right where the cursor is. Within a mile of my office, I have 11 Bitcoin ATMs around. So I've got 11 of them to choose from. It's dangerous because they charge 8% fees, right? We have an 8% fee for using the Bitcoin ATM. It will vary from firm to firm. So you've got to be careful out there which ones you use, but it's very easy. You can go in there, put in your money, and it will spit out a paper wallet, which we'll look at here in just a second, or it will also add it right to your digital electronic device, your phone, if you give them one of these codes. So that's another easy way to buy it, but you will pay a lot more in fees. I mean, a lot more in fees. All right. Here's one I want to tell you to go away from. Leave this alone. Don't bother. I put it on here because it's kind of like you go to a rehab clinic and they tell you all the stuff that'll kill you. I think this could be one of those that ends up killing you. Leave Craigslist alone. If I'm an illegal person and I want to rob people, this is where I'm going to be posting my ads for cryptocurrencies. If you watch on the screen, you can see all these different pieces here. One sec. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get a gentleman to help me out here, get this up and running, because it's not. I'm not seeing the feed here, but I'll walk through here on the one ad side. So on the one ad side, you guys can see we have a whole bunch of different ads on that space there. So you have people who are willing to buy and sell cryptocurrencies to you. Now, how dangerous is this? Bitcoin's trading right now at about $16,000. Okay, $16,000. Well, actually not now. It's at $12,000. So let's say you go online and you want to buy a cryptocurrency from somebody, and you meet them at a coffee shop, and you're going to buy a Bitcoin for 12 grand. They know you have 12 grand in cash on you. Who's going to rob you? This is ridiculously dangerous, I would say, to stay away. All right, cool. Thank you. I now have all your questions in front of me. Sorry for that, guys. For some reason, I couldn't get it to work over here. All right. So stay away from Craigslist. If you do, go with a whole bunch of people that are armed so you get your money. It just seems crazy to me that people would use Craigslist to get Bitcoin. The other place is mining rig. This is a technology that we're going to talk about in other sessions. We might actually talk about this in our session in a couple weeks here. But when we look at a mining rig, it seems like a great thing. Mining, for those who don't know, is how a lot of cryptocurrencies are created. Miners are rewarded for maintaining the network in that blockchain. So when we have the blockchain going, miners will get paid if they solve a block of data. And it sounds great because you just turn on a machine and you get paid a bunch of money. Well, the truth is it's very difficult. And most of these mining rigs aren't going to make you a lot of money. It's a misconception that you're going to get rich with a mining rig, but that's one way to do it. Probably the best way to do it is just to go out and buy cryptocurrencies. My safest bet would be to use something like Coinbase. You can also go to, what's another one that uses online and link to your bank account? You have Gemini as well. So there's a couple out there in the US that will allow you to connect directly to your bank account and buy cryptocurrencies there. All right, let's go one step further and dive deeper into the benefits here. I want to talk about really where you put these things, because one of the biggest misconceptions is storage. Now, how many of you, since I can now see you, how many of you have heard the statement that Bitcoin has been hacked? They believe that you can hack Bitcoin. I'm watching you guys right now, so let me know what you guys think here. Can you hack Bitcoin? Ah, yes. Can you hack Bitcoin? Well, the answer is absolutely 100% not a chance in hell. No, you're not going to hack Bitcoin. What you're going to have happen is where you keep your Bitcoins can be hacked. So the private keys and public keys, that ends up being the problem there. So we'll look at a couple different ways we can store these things. Obviously, we'll go much more in depth in this in other sessions, but this is kind of a higher level piece for today. So where do we keep them? Number one would be keeping them on an exchange. Exchanges are things like Coinbase, Exodus, Poloniex, Kraken, Binance, Bitfinex, GateHub. There are a ton of them, right? These exchanges offer some great services in the sense of they're very easy to work with. They allow multiple currencies. So, on Coinbase, for example, I can trade Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. On Poloniex, I've got like 100 to choose from. Binance, I've got almost 200 to choose from. So they offer you selection, which is great, and allows you to do something called active trading. So we'll talk about that in 2 weeks here. Active trading may be of appeal to many of you. There's a lot of different things we can be doing in the active trading space, but we'll not get into that today. What are the drawbacks? Well, the drawbacks are pretty significant, if you ask me. Hackability. Most of the stuff that you and I have heard about in the past is that these exchanges have been hacked, such as Mt. Gox is the big one. I've got so many names in my head. Mt. Gox is the big one that was hacked. You have some Korean exchanges have been hacked. You have some local stuff being hacked. You also have a lot of ICO, Ethernet addresses being hacked. It's because somebody got control of the private keys. What I have here under cons, it's hackability, lack of control. You don't own anything if you have your money at an exchange. They own it because they have your public key and they have your private key. It's kind of like your bank. You don't own any of the money in the bank. You have a receipt that says you have X amount of dollars at the bank. So these exchanges have all the power. So what I do, and I'll explain this more in a second here, we talk about it, I keep control of my private keys and public keys by keeping as much as I can off of these exchanges. Exchanges are great because they allow us to get into the market, but we want to be able to safeguard our assets as well. All right, next step is going to be a wallet. Now, I've mentioned wallet. I showed you a couple screenshots of wallets out there. I got a couple comments coming in right now. Yes, Kraken does get terrible reviews. I have a Kraken account, and it's probably one of the worst out there, although they didn't upgrade their software, and it's much more stable now, but it is terrible. Terrible. Yeah, there you go. So wallets are great because they're portable. They're a small portable device. You're in control because generally you have your public and your private keys on those wallets. The problem is, again, hackability and scams. Actually, on Poloniex the other day, they actually posted on their page that says, look, we don't have an app. There is no Poloniex app, yet if you go to the Google Store and the Apple Store, there's a Poloniex app. This should scare the daylights out of you because how can a company that is major and has billions of dollars worth of assets being traded not have an app, and it's someone else that's creating that app, which could basically stealing your information? Because you got this Poloniex app on your phone, you insert some information, and now they're going to go log in and steal your information off of the exchange. So you got to be very careful out here. Make sure you do your due diligence and read up on the different wallets you're going to be using. There have been cases where on the Apple Store, wallets have been created. You send your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Litecoin there, and all of a sudden, you just basically sent it to somebody else's personal account. You'll never get it back. Good luck talking to the authorities because it's not regulated. I know, it's kind of scary. It's actually one of the scariest things is sending your cryptocurrencies to some other address. So with regards to wallets, we have several different ways you can keep them. You have your desktop, which is going to be more of your PC based, right? You get your little PC I'm operating off of here. You also have your mobile devices, such as your cell phone. And these are all different ones. We're not advertising or supporting any of these. I just wanted to show you kind of ideas of how diverse the Bitcoin space is. And this is just for Bitcoin. You also have web-based things like BTC.com. You have BitGo, Green Address. You have hardware wallets such as NanoLedger S or paper wallets. And here is a hardware device. So on the hardware part there, you saw NanoLedger S. This is my NanoLedger S, and it's crazy to think of how much money is on this device. I won't tell you how much, but it's a ridiculous amount of money that's on here. And it's just simply a USB device. This keeps my private keys and my public keys, and I have different ones for different cryptocurrencies. But this is not connected to the internet, so I'm not worried about you hacking it right now. There's no possible way on earth for you to hack this right now, whereas a device that's connected to the internet does have that potential to be hacked. Last one here is paper wallet. So here's an example of a paper wallet, which is your public key and private key. This is something that you would print out and keep on a physical form. Here is one that I've actually used. So this is one that has been used. If you were to scan this, you would see that there have been transactions on this. I sent money in here. This goes all the way back into July of 2017. I used to keep 1 Bitcoin per paper wallet. That was kind of my MO because I didn't want to have everything on one just in case. But I put them on paper wallets, and I'll talk a lot more about strategies in the class later on. How do we spend them? Another misconception is, oh, I can't get my money out of cryptocurrencies. I don't know how. You can't get your money out once you put it in. Again, they don't know what they're talking about. This industry is riddled with misinformation that is spread by mainstream media, such as markets were crashing. Well, markets weren't crashing over the last couple of days. That is actually a correction because it's a normal for Bitcoin. Every year seems to have a 50-point drawdown. Well, it had it again. So we'll talk about belief systems later on. So how do we spend them? It's actually relatively simple. It depends on what your goal is. Do you want to use them for commerce, meaning you want to use your Bitcoin to buy goods and services, such as go to dinner with them, maybe pay for things online with them? That's one way. Another way would be to cash out and bring it directly back into your bank account. So let's start there. First thing you want to do if you want to get them back into your cash and convert them back into fiat currency, that is very simple to do. Here's Coinbase, and I see a couple people saying don't use Coinbase. Well, look, Coinbase is one of the easiest ones to use. It's also one of the highest fees out there. And yes, Coinbase and GDAX are exactly the same. They're just different technology. They're owned by the same company. We're not going to go into the depths here on what's the best way to send money. There certainly are great ways to save money by using different exchanges to buy and sell. GDAX is very low fees. Coinbase is very high. But if you are not technically savvy, sometimes Coinbase is going to be a little bit easier for you. But there's a lot of, you pay a lot more to use Coinbase, but it's just very, very easy. All right, so here's how you would send it to another user. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish that one. If you want to send cash out, see here it says USD wallet. So in this account, I had $10,000. All I have to do is just click withdraw and say, go back to your checking account. That's it. No, Coinbase is not easy to set up and lots of stoppages. Well, they've been slowing down a lot. Okay, they've had a lot of bottlenecks. And they're one of the most popular accounts right now. I think I've heard that they have more accounts now than Charles Schwab, opening 100,000 accounts a day. So you're going to have some bottlenecks in this system, but it is pretty easy compared to some of the other ones. Poloniex could take weeks to get in there. It was really bogged down, and some of these other exchanges do take a while. The other way is to send it to somebody. It's very simple. You basically open up your hot wallet here, and you see here's an example of using Bread Wallet, and all you have to do is either hit send, so I've got send money right here, and I would scan that person's barcode, or receive money, and I would just give someone my barcode here, and they could send me cryptocurrency. It's actually very, very, very simple. There's also a lot of retailers that will accept it. Now, this is certainly not a complete list. I did a whole bunch of work trying to find out different businesses that would accept them. So really some of the bigger names are on the left-hand side. And you can see things like Overstock, Subway, Microsoft, Expedia, Gift, Newegg, Dell, Reddit, Virgin Galactic, Bloomberg. So a lot of them are accepting those. I think that you'll see that change here shortly because of systemic problems with Bitcoin. Maybe in our session in 2 weeks here on February 1st, we'll talk about that. And of course, you guys, in the comments section down below here, you can see there's a link to part 2 of that. We'll just talk more about active trading, and maybe I'll briefly touch on what are some of the systemic problems with Bitcoin that it's facing right now, which could be a problem for it transacting with a lot of these businesses. You'll probably see some other cryptocurrencies rise up, which means great opportunity for us as investors out there. You can also go to things like Gift. This is great. You know, you've got a resource to use your Bitcoin and buy gift cards. So let's say it's holiday season, so you bought some Bitcoin at $5,000 a coin, it's now $10,000, and you want to pull some money out. You could go to Gift and you can say, all right, I'm buying everybody Amazon gift cards or Starbucks cards or Home Depot cards or Old Navy cards. You can buy gift cards just about everybody out there using Gift. I thought that's a really nice resource, and you can real quickly take advantage of that. All right, so last piece here, I want to talk about some of the risks, and we're just about to wind up, and I'll try to get to a lot of these questions out here as we wind up, is volatility. This is probably one of the biggest factors out there with cryptocurrencies, and a friend of mine, we're doing some podcasts on this a while back, and we were talking about kind of the intestinal fortitude that you need. If you are not okay with risk, if you are not okay with something moving 10, 20, 30, 40% in a day, then you shouldn't mess with cryptocurrencies. You should walk away, you should leave it alone, because these things are moving so fast and so quickly that if you're not used to it, you should walk away. I've been trading for over 20 years, so for me, I know my risk management, I know money management, I have a plan in place, and I'm okay with the volatility that encompasses cryptocurrency space. What I have here is really the Bitcoin on the top, and on the bottom we have the dollar index, the Dixie. So for those of you out there trading futures and in the equity markets, you use the Dixie a lot as kind of a leading indicator and a market timing piece. And these both represent 1 year worth of activity going back into 2017, the very beginning. So 1 year. And you can see 1 year ago, Bitcoin was at 884. It hit a high of 19,002, and right now we're trading right around 11, maybe 11.5. So huge volatility. And we're talking thousands of percent. Well, if you look down on the bottom, the dollar, which obviously is a much more stable index, this is the dollar index, which means it's based against several currencies, but it really was only had at most a 10% range in a year. That's normal. Cryptocurrencies normal is talking 20, 30, 40, 50%. It's so quick in its movements. All right, let's go to our last piece here. So what are the risks here? I don't want to glorify cryptocurrencies and say that they are the new and most amazing thing in the world. I'm excited for the opportunity that cryptocurrencies present. I think it represents a shift for us as consumers, as individuals, to look at the structured system, a centralized world that we are in, and say, you know what? I don't want you having all the power. I want to have some of that power, or at least let's spread it around so that no one person can dictate what happens. That's the beauty of a decentralized marketplace. Now, as we move towards a decentralized marketplace, and we'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks, which is what are some of the benefits of blockchain technology, etc., we need to understand that there are going to be risks as well. There's a lot of risks in this one. The biggest risk for me, well, not the biggest, it's actually the last one here. We'll start with volatility. We mentioned volatility. These are huge swings. I mean, the market cap for cryptocurrencies, I believe as of Saturday night, was $860 billion for all cryptocurrencies. As of last night, so you're talking a window of maybe 5, 6 days, it went from $860 billion to $480 billion. You're not seeing those swings in the equity markets because they're more centralized. You're seeing that in a decentralized marketplace because A, this is in its infancy, and B, that's kind of the norm for it. So there are massive swings out there. Right now, I think, actually I'll tell you where we are now. We went from 480 over the last couple days, and now we are currently trading at 582. So we bounced $100 billion in the last 24 hours in the cryptocurrency market space. That, my friends, is a lot of volatility. Second biggest thing you got to worry about here is theft. So for example, if this was a live Bitcoin address, meaning I was still using this one, there's no way I would show this to you. This is an old one. I've used it. It's done. I'll never use this address again, so feel free to use it if you want. But if I were to haphazardly show this and say, hey, I've got coins here, you could steal those. You could scan this address and take those. This private key, if anybody has access to your private key, your coins are as good as gone. That's why I'm kind of nervous about some of these exchanges. You got to be careful out there. There is the possibility for them to be hacked. The next piece is what's been stirring these markets over the last couple weeks, and that is government regulation and intervention. We have South Korea saying, look, we're going to shut down all cryptocurrencies. markets went nuts, started to have a big sell-off. That's why we saw it sell off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of yesterday. So government stepping in can be bad. I actually believe it can also be good. So we want to keep our pulse on what's going on with government regulation, because as governments regulate this and make it, I guess, a little bit safer, what that does, it makes it more acceptable. So if they shut it down, obviously that's a bad thing. But if they come in with a little bit of regulation, say, you guys need to conform to this and do this and this, well, all of a sudden now it becomes more mainstream, more locked in our society, and all of a sudden that makes it more accepted, and we can see these things really start to rise. So regulation and intervention is kind of a double-edged sword here. The last one is the most risky thing for me, and that is losing your private key. So let's say, for example, I've got this paper wallet right here, right? And I'm at home, and my German Shepherd just loves to play. He's a real playful pup. So I've got this sitting on the counter, and I've got one Bitcoin on it. So it's a $11,500 piece. And for some reason, he chewed it, and this private key is now gone. I basically lost that Bitcoin. There's nothing that I could do. Or let's say somebody saw it sitting on my desk and decided to take a picture of it with their app and take all my cryptocurrencies. If they got your private key, if you lose it, there's no help desk to call. So to me, that's one of the most dangerous pieces out here, is the loss of your private key. All right, so real quickly, I'm going to wrap up here, and then we'll go to a bunch of listener questions here. Basics of today was really about what is cryptocurrency. Okay? It's a digital currency that we can use as a medium of exchange, as barter, but it also has utility. And I think when we do our analysis on things you might want to invest in, there is a lot of potential here in different spaces for the utility of cryptocurrency. We also looked at what are some of the benefits. There's a lot of great benefits out there, where to buy them, how to store them. We also looked at how to spend them. Okay, most people aren't spending right now. They're called hodlers, or as they say, will hold on for dear life is what that phrase stands for. And we looked also at what are the risks. Now, we want to just let you guys know this was really kind of the future of your money. I put it with a question mark here because we just don't know what's going to be happening going forward. If you would like more information on really anything to do with overall financial market topics, you can visit otacademy.com. There's a couple pieces there on some cryptocurrencies. But we also want to encourage you to register for our next session, which will be February 1st. That's going to be a Thursday afternoon. That's kind of part 2 of this, where I'll dive a bit deeper and look at some of the relationships between futures, look at the Forex markets. You've got commodities, you've got options, you have ETFs, all revolving now around this cryptocurrency space. So we'll look at it from a more of a active trading perspective, and you can register for that at the link below. It says register there for session part 2. So thank you guys for joining us. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into a little bit of these questions have been coming in here, but we got the bulk of the content done, so I'll see if we can steer it towards your listener questions. All right, Victor's talked about the spread. With a lot of these cryptocurrency exchanges, it's actually a lot like a Forex market, which is decentralized. Each exchange will have its own spread, its own liquidity, its own problems. So, this is something we're not covering here. It's actually a much deeper topic. But in the class I taught, I actually went through all these different exchanges, and we looked at all of those factors. So there's volatility is a major one, but you also have spreads and liquidity become a major issues. Where do I do my charting? Different platforms. I haven't found one that's great. There's actually one out there called Coinigy that has great charts, but I'm not spending $19 a month for it, so I basically just use the real basic charts that are available on different platforms. Now, I have 8 different exchanges right now that I use to keep money. I don't want to keep it all at one. I'm always trying out different things, so I have them all over the place, and certainly some have much better charts than others. It does change every second, yeah. Victor says, oh no, Bittrex. I don't have a Bittrex account. Yes. Okay, so great question from Algerian. He says, do they have to shut down the internet to shut down Bitcoin? The answer is yes. If the United States said, we are going to make it illegal, punishable by death for you to trade Bitcoin, will Bitcoin die? No, absolutely not, because it's a global network. So what they would have to do is shut down every computer that is running a node of Bitcoin, and that in turn is the problem, because they can't shut it down. They'd have to shut down the internet. Marcus, I haven't found a really reliable, 100% reliable source. He says, where can you find a reliable source for cryptocurrencies? This is something that I spend a lot of time in my sessions going over, is really the right places to find these things, and it's all over the place with regards to information. Yes, this will be recorded, guys. It will be recorded. You can also get more information at OT Academy. There's some lessons there on cryptocurrencies. They do have nice, okay, I'll check that out. I didn't know Bittrex has free charting. All right, well, I'm going to stroll through here. I think I got most of them. A lot of them are just, Okay, how do we cash out? You're talking about how do we cash out for one of these guys? You have to send this over to an exchange. So this is my Nano Ledger S. This is a hardware wallet. I have to send money to the exchange and move my cryptocurrencies to the exchange and then do it that way. That's the easiest way to do it. All right.
Question right here. Do I have to sign up for an exchange to send money to my friend?
Okay, so Gary told me there's a question that says, do I have to sign up to an exchange to send money to my friend? No, you don't have to sign up for an exchange. If your friend has a wallet like this, or a hot wallet like Brad, or a paper wallet like this, all they have to do is have a Bitcoin address. You can create a Bitcoin address in a matter of seconds. You do not need an exchange. The reason that you kind of need an exchange is that's how you're pulling money out and getting it back into a fiat currency. So if you plan on taking a chunk of money and just keeping it for investment purposes or for active trading and not pulling it back to fiat, you don't need an exchange. You can do it in a bunch of different ways out there. So great question. All right, I'm going to take a couple more questions here. Yeah, talking to some of these exchanges being hacked out there. Yep. Wow, Bitcoin refunded the currency? That didn't happen. Someone hacked an exchange and Bitcoin refunded the currency. Bitcoin's not refunding the currency. Remember, Bitcoin doesn't just have currency. What happened was, I think you're talking about Ethereum. There was a problem where Ethereum, it was a break in the code of the system of Ethereum, and there was money that was taken out of there, and they actually rolled back the blockchain to recoup that money. So that was kind of what happened there. And that was from fees. So you have to join an exchange. Yep. What if an exchange platform is hacked and stolen a private key? Do I lose my cryptos? Yes, Fee, you lose all of it. If they take it all, they take it all. And there's nothing, you can't call your local government, you can't call the police or regulators and say, hey, I lost my money there. That's one of the risks. And if you can't accept the risk, you really have to be careful getting in this space. I would say don't bother getting in. There's a lot of risk here. If you do, kind of keep it very, very small amounts in there, right? Risk capital. Safe storage areas. That's what I'm talking about right here, Nikki. Is this hardware wallet or paper wallets are my two favorite. My bulk of my assets are on paper wallets and hardware wallets. I keep minimal amounts on the exchanges. Once those accounts get big, I pull money out. There's really no reason for me to keep that money there. So I guess I answered a couple questions with that one. All right, last one. What is the best exchange platform? I saw something called it. I don't have a say out there. It depends on what we're looking for. Exchange can be good from a functionality perspective, meaning the tools and resources I want to use are great. Exchange can have benefits as far as fee structures, much cheaper to use this one, asset selection, interface, functionality, ease of, so we can't say really which one's best. From ease of use, Coinbase, number one, because it's like a no-brainer. It's like a see and save for 4-year-olds. You're just like, buy, sell. But you're not seeing really charts, you're not looking at these spreads, it's simple. One of the most complex out there and non-user friendly is probably Kraken. So it really depends on what you're looking for out there. Learning sites, no. Blockchain itself, I'll give you one resource out there for blockchain, which I actually really like, and his name is Ivan on Tech. I got to give him a plug. Ivan on Tech is a YouTube channel out there, and he is a programmer that can explain blockchain in a very, very easy, down-to-earth sense. But that's about it. Most of the stuff I've done has just been digging into user groups, forums, and breaking down just blockchain from my limited non-technical experience. All right, I already went past a lot of time here. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Hopefully you got some very basic information. Again, this was designed to be rather basic. In our next session, we'll dive deeper. We're going to go more into the trading aspects, I'll bring up a whole bunch of different exchanges. We'll talk about options, futures, commodities, Forex markets, and see how those relate here and how we might be able to use one to hedge the other. You can also register for that with the link below. So click on that one, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks on February 1st at 10 a.m. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care. Thank you.